Have you ever heard of a wonder so magnificent that some believe it never existed at all? Among the 7 wonders of the ancient world, one stands out not just for its beauty, but for the mystery that surrounds it: the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. A mythical paradise in the desert, terraced gardens overflowing with exotic plants, suspended in the air, an oasis said to defy gravity and logic. But here's the big question: did the Hanging Gardens of Babylon really exist? Or were they just a dream written into history? Let's dive deep into this ancient enigma and uncover the truth behind one of history's greatest mysteries. The story begins in the heart of Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, in the ancient city of Babylon. This city, once the jewel of the ancient world, was home to rulers, scholars, and engineers. And according to ancient Greek writers, it was also the site of the most spectacular garden ever built. The Greek historian Strabo described it as rising terrace upon terrace, supported by huge stone columns. Water flowed through it, nourished by an ingenious system, perhaps the world's first known use of a water screw, centuries before Archimedes. Diodorus Siculus, another Greek historian, claimed the gardens were created by King Nebuchadnezzar II in the 6th century BCE. The reason? A romantic one. His wife, Ametis of Media, missed the lush mountains of her homeland, so Nebuchadnezzar ordered an enormous artificial mountain to be constructed, complete with trees, vines, and waterfalls, just to ease her homesickness. It's a story that paints Nebuchadnezzar not just as a conqueror but a husband who moved heaven and earth, or at least earth, for love. But here's where the mystery begins. Despite detailed descriptions by ancient Greek historians, there's one major problem. No Babylonian records mention the Hanging Gardens. None. Not in the extensive writings from Nebuchadnezzar's time. No carvings, no tablets, no blueprints, nothing. Archaeologists who excavated Babylon in the early 20th century expected to find at least some remnants. Perhaps foundations, irrigation systems, or inscriptions. But all they found were palaces, temples, and walls. Not a single trace of the legendary gardens. So were the Greeks simply wrong? Did they fabricate a fantasy? Or were they describing something real, just not in Babylon? That's where the plot thickens. A radical theory emerged in the 1990s from Dr. Stephanie Dalley, a researcher at Oxford University. She believes that the gardens weren't in Babylon at all, but in Nineveh, the capital of the Assyrian Empire, hundreds of miles to the north. Why? Dalley studied ancient Assyrian texts and reliefs and found striking similarities. One particularly telling relief shows terraced gardens with flowing water, palm trees, and what looks like an aqueduct. She also discovered that the Assyrian king Sennacherib, who ruled a century before Nebuchadnezzar, had built a vast network of canals and a massive palace complex. In his writings, he describes a wonder for all people, a garden unlike any other, complete with a system to lift water high into the air. Could it be that the Greeks over time confused Nineveh with Babylon? After all, Nineveh was destroyed and much of its knowledge lost. Babylon, on the other hand, remained famous for its tower and its walls. Perhaps historians simply attributed every great feat in the region to Babylon, the name they knew best. Dalley's theory gained traction because it explains the mystery. If the gardens were in Nineveh, that would explain why Babylon has no records or ruins of it. But there's still debate. Skeptics argue that even Nineveh doesn't have concrete proof. The reliefs could simply show stylized architecture, not actual gardens. And some say Dalley's translation of ancient texts may be reaching too far. So, where does that leave us? A tale with 2 cities, 2 kings, and 2 possibilities. Either Nebuchadnezzar built a paradise lost to time, or Sennacherib created the world's first vertical garden, centuries ahead of its time. And the credit simply went to the wrong city. Or, more provocatively, maybe the Hanging Gardens never existed at all. Maybe they were pure invention, a blend of myth, misunderstanding, and admiration. After all, history is written by the survivors, and rewritten by the storytellers. But even if we never uncover the ruins, the Hanging Gardens live on. In our imagination, in our art, in every green rooftop and vertical garden inspired by the ancient dream. Because the real legacy of the Hanging Gardens might not be whether they existed, but the idea they represent, that even in the harshest of deserts, beauty can rise. And perhaps that's the wonder that matters most. Thanks for watching. This is Old Topic, uncovering the past, one mystery at a time.